My name's Sean McAuley. I'm a singer-songwriter from North Belfast. I was very lucky growing up in North Belfast, going to St Vincent's Primary. Very good teacher called Miss Hart, who had engaged a recorder teacher called Mr McClements, and for some reason I identified with a wind instrument. So everything started for me in music by playing recorder, and then slightly later in life transferring at the whistles and then flutes. But I suppose what took me down the guitar route and ultimately the songwriting route was my dad always had this little Spanish guitar sitting in my bedroom, and I think it was always there as a reminder that there's other instruments you can play. So I found myself at 18 buying a second-hand acoustic guitar in Smithfield Market, which I'm sure you all know. And from there I set about learning a few chords, and I'd always ran around kind of singing my version of certain songs, but within about 2 to 3 chords I was already off and running and writing music. So that's pretty much where it all started from. On a western road, my heart was bound to stay. Wind amongst the winds, it was skirtling down the brae. The sun was shining down all along the quay, and I knew that paradise lay along the wild Atlantic, the wild Atlantic way. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. So songwriting is something which people can or can't tap into, but I insist it can be learned. You just need to spend time with it. So for me, what happened was, upon learning a couple of chords, I immediately had these melodies streaming into my head. And I guess the thing I always struggled with was writing lyrics and therefore creating a song. So for a long time I was just strumming along, learning to sing at the same time as playing the guitar. And once I got that, I could then start to think about singing actual words. So my first couple of songs were like 2-chord wonders, 3-chord wonders. And then over a spell of time, being at university, I met a couple of lads, Brendan McCulloch, who's a guitarist, Brenton Donnelly, who's a bass player, and we later formed a band called The Long Stay, which is where I really learned to do my singing and songwriting. And a few sessions in with those guys, I exposed a couple of little songs that I'd been fiddling around with, and they picked up on them. And from there, we all started songwriting, and then started to target recording, and it all kind of lifted off from there. Moody day, don't take it out on me. Don't drop your reins and then shine down on me. To rain again and to shine again your sun. Don't mess me up, don't take away my fun. Moody day, don't take away my sun. Moody day, don't you rain on everyone. Don't you rain on everyone. Don't you rain on everyone. Well, for me, songwriting is very much a melody experience. I've had lots of different ways of writing songs, but I would tend to sit around and just be walking about, just doing my own business, and a melody would stream into my head. And then I would just kind of cultivate that a little bit, maybe grab my phone nowadays and put a little mental jot down, return to it at some point, and if I'm lucky enough that it's got a strong melody, there'll be a little earworm which will not leave me alone until I actually give it the time that it deserves. And then sitting with the guitar, coming up with a little chord structure that suits my voice and finding the right key. I can then kind of nurture that a little bit and get a melody in place, and I can start to think about an early version of the words. And often I write the song fully in a very short amount of time. The other side of that is sometimes I write the melody and come up with a song, but can't really get the grips with the words, don't really know what I want to say. And I'm very lucky because I've got some people that I work with, primarily Brendan Donnelly, our bass player in the long stay. He's our main lyricist, we call him the grinder. So when a set of lyrics go through him, they come out the other side refined and with a better meaning. So sometimes I would tend to take a melody and throw it his way, and he'll give me back generally a pretty perfect set of lyrics saying something very nice. And the other side of that is where you take a poem, and I've worked with a fella from North Belfast called Jim Johnson, and he's very good at kind of supplying you with rhyming sets of lyrics with the right meterage that kind of suit songwriting. And that, I find that quite a satisfying way of approaching songwriting, where you've got the words already set out, the meaning of the song, if you like, already laid out, and all I've got to do is find a melody, and I'm very lucky. I can generally find a melody and match it. And the songwriting process can sometimes take 5 minutes and can sometimes take months. It just depends, you know, but it's a fascinating thing that around the universe, if you like, there's all these melodies hanging about, and you're lucky enough to filter through, and I feel very privileged to do it. Well, I've been sitting around for a long time, feels like getting nowhere. Sitting around for a long time, getting nowhere, the way it is. When you're on your own, just the way it is. No one on the phone, no one on the phone, no one on the phone. Just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. Oh, come on now, call me on the phone. Oh, I'm so tired of being alone. Oh, come on, call me on the phone. Oh, I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired of being alone. Growing up, I quite liked listening to music late at night, in the dark, in the days of the old cassette tapes or from radio. And I found myself buying like kind of soul classics like Jackie Wilson, Sam and Dave, and Wilson Pickett, and Otis Redding. And then blues artists, general blues artists, Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker and people like that. And then as I kind of graduated my listening, I was listening to traditional stuff, like the Furies, and then more kind of Americana stuff, like, you know, John Cougar Mellencamp, and then people like Tracy Chapman, and of course acoustic stars like Bob Dylan. But probably my greatest influence would be Bruce Springsteen. And, you know, I just loved his honesty of his music. His first album was written with just a Tascam 4-track up in an attic. I like the possibility of that you can just take a little recording system, not that hi-fi, you know, not that complicated, and off you go and layer up, you know, some songs, and you come up with a nice warm, kind of strong atmospheric feeling. I just loved the way he did things, and the album Nebraska, and I stayed with him through Born in USA, and then Tunnel of Love, and all his more recent albums. And I just think he's a fascinating guy who has boundless energy, keeps reinventing himself, and gives honesty to his fans. And that'd be certainly something I'd love to aspire to. It may be night, but the sun it's shining on. You should be sleeping, but it's defying nature's laws. Warming the beaten hand so cold, radiating beauty through this hour. Seems like the ice will melt tonight. Seems like the sky will stay so bright. Seems like this day will never end. Hoping tomorrow starts the same. Well, I'm a general Joe in the sense that I write music all the time. More recently, I've been involved in music production and working with little side projects. My mainstay would be the band The Long Stay, and I myself would play little solo gigs and sometimes cover gigs. More recently, I've been working with other artists, and more recently than that, I've been working with a little project called Jamok, and I've really enjoyed that. And that involves engineering, video making, kind of, arranging, recording people, trying to get things up to a high standard. I really enjoy that. And I would say at this point in my life, because you can kind of do that at any time of the day, I enjoy that more. But I do love performing live. I love an audience, particularly a quiet audience who are prepared to give you a chance and hear what you're trying to say, or give you a chance to, put your song across in a nice environment. If I only knew that the sky would stay blue, take a trip up on my hot air balloon. And if I only knew that the sun would stay high, I'd take it with me across the reaches of the sky. And if the sky was blue, I'd take a trip around the world with you. If the sky was blue, I'd take a trip around the world with you. I would say the most important thing about songwriting is spending time with that art. There is the old adage that if you spend 10,000 hours at something, you suddenly become an expert. That might not be the case. There are naturals out there. There are people who can write songs straight off. There are young kids out there, and I've seen it, who can write amazing songs with not a lot of mileage and not a lot of performing, and that's wonderful. That's natural talent. It can be learned, and with time and with listening widely to other artists, you can get your influences together, you can get a flavour to your music, you can discover what it is you want to say, but just enjoying it and being with it and not laying out too many ambitions, and being honest in the sense that songwriting takes time, good songwriting takes time. You will write a lot of songs, perhaps, if you're lucky, and not all of them are going to be gems. You've got to work towards the gems. But the most important thing is enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, come away from it. Take a break and come back to it when something urges you enough, like a melody or a meeting or a group of people urge you enough to sit down and do some proper songwriting. Don't go near the water. Don't go to the stream. I saw you drowning there. I heard you scream. The moon was shining out over the fields, and a strange light it cast made it seem so real, seem so real. You were wearing your pink dress, and I was dressed in blue. But the colors began to fade as the moon came shining through, and the water came rushing down through the streets and the alleyways. I tried to reach out to you, but you were swept away, swept away. We live in the water, in the cities and towns, and in the houses we slowly drown. And in the water I call your name, but the only sound I hear is the sound of the wave. It's the sound of the waves. It's the sound of the waves. It's the sound of the waves. Well, in this day and age, it's very easy to get access to music in the digital sense. We started out on the analog platforms, and all our early radio play was through, analog recorded mediums and early digital CDs and stuff like that. But today it's a different engine. We've got, distribution apps and providers, and the big kind of digital music platforms like Spotify and Amazon and Apple, and the more video orientated platforms that also do digital music, YouTube and the like. With a very quick search on my name, Sean McAuley, you'll find solo performances and solo recorded material. If you search for The Long Stay, which is my main project, or look up www.thelongstay.com, you'll find out more about us and our video channel. And more recently, the project I'm doing with Jim Johnson and Andy O'Kane. If you look up Jim Mock, so it's J'_MOK, on YouTube or on the digital platforms, you'll find out, what we're doing, what we're up to. And, hope you enjoy listening. I've been waiting for years now to take you to the island where I spent time as a boy. Time as a young man, time as a grown man, time that I loved and want to visit again. Oh, I want to take you to places where I've been before. 'Cause she's selling seashells on the seashore, and he's over there, he's drunk and he's lying on the floor. There's a man on a squeeze box playing old shanty songs of captains and treasures and things now long gone. And I wanna take you to the island. And I wanna take you to the island. And I wanna take you to the island. And I wanna take you to the island.